My name is Thorsten Overgaard. I'm a Danish photographer. I travel the world taking photographs and teaching photograph. Today I'll tell you how to make really big prints or pretend that you have a camera with a lot of megapixels. Before I get into it, below the video there is free downloads. There is Capture One and Lightroom presets. That is the set of presets I made for myself that I use to edit black and white and color. They're free today. You just put in your name and email, press click, and you have them in a few minutes. There's also a free ebook about what is sharpness in photography. And then there's one more free ebook, and that is one I wrote about iconic photographs and the masters that took them. And I also write about how I photograph and why I photograph. And then we have the special thing for anybody who puts in a comment, doesn't matter if it's long or short, there's free gifts. And today I have chosen two of these catalogs. This is from my exhibition in St. Louis a few years back, and this is a signed exhibition catalog. It's from the International Photography Hall of Fame in St. Louis, and it is just very nice to look at. Two of those I will send to anywhere in the world. And now let me tell you the good news. We need more megapixels, at least that is what we're told, that's what we think, but it's actually not the case. And today I'll talk a little bit about how you can make a 300 megapixel print from a camera from 2009 that is fundamentally 18 megapixels. So let me tell you, if you don't have a 300 megapixel camera, then there is a solution for it. It's almost cheating, but it's something that is totally possible. For example, now I'll show you, I have this camera from 2009. This is Leica M10, 18 megapixel, and I have made prints that are 300 megapixels. And how exactly is that? We need much less megapixel than you think, and let me show you here. This print, for example, the print size of this is 24 megapixels. And that means that if we take another print here, this is Jonathan Mannion's photo of JC. This is basically 6 megapixels. This is the print size. And you can say that is the only reason we have megapixel. Megapixel is not a sign of how sharp or even detailed a photograph is. Megapixel comes into play that if you want to make a print, here's another one, Leonard Fried from Magnum. Also you could say this is 6 megapixels. And the way it comes about is that when you print a photograph like this, you print it in 300 lines per inch or 300 dots per inch. And that means you can basically, in Photoshop or whatever, you can measure the photograph. You can see this is how many pixels is required for this size. And in that manner, you could say, here we have another one from 65. This is from Sydney. It's a gift I got. Also something like 6-7 megapixels. If I want to make this one 6 feet tall, that is 180 centimeters tall, I can open the file in Photoshop on my computer and I can simply just enlarge the photograph. And let me just show you how it's done. So here I have on my screen, I actually have two photographs. I have, this is the makeup girl that I printed in 6 feet tall, 180 centimeters, and also the Dior girl, similarly also from the Leica M9, 80 megapixel file that is printed in 180 centimeters or 6 feet tall. And the way it's done is simply you go into image in Photoshop and you go image size, and then one thing you want to make sure is that you have 300 lines per inch here, because a printer, in order to print without pixelating, it needs 300 lines per inch. Some will do it with 150, but I always do it 300 because I believe that's better. the pixel per inch simply means that you could say when you have a screen on your iPhone or your computer, it's actually 72 lines per inch. It's not 300 lines per inch, but it's 72. That's enough to fill out the screen space, the dots you have on the screen. But if you give a 72 lines per inch to a printer that needs 150 or 300, it's going to invent some stuff to put in to the gaps, and that's why you get pixelation, you could say noise, and that's why print always should be 300 lines per inch. But then it's actually very easy. I have here, you could say this is 2388 times 2993 pixels. Then I can go in here and say I'm going to change it to centimeters because I'm from Europe, I like centimeters, and now I'm going to say I'm going to do the height is 180 centimeters, and now the width is going to be 143, and I can see up here that it now is it's almost 17,000 pixels times 21 to 2060 pixels. That is 300 megapixels basically I'm going to do. And then there's a few ways to do it. The resample here is important because you could say you could fundamentally just go automatic, that would be nice and simple, but you can go one here that says preserve details enlargement. You can so preserve details 2.0, and there's bicopic. And bicopic is basically the one I used when I did these gallery prints originally, and I think that's enough. New things that comes, you can say preserve details 2.0 is basically what they say is an AI helped enlargement. So it's going to help you maintain details and sharpness. And when you say AI, you basically say, I don't know what's going to happen. So of course you can test it. You could say bicopic is smoother, which is almost like the Leica look. It means that, so here's the point, you could say you have a photograph that is a certain size. Let's just take this one. Here we have one I did of big. This is the size of it. And when I look at a photograph like this, it's going to be over on the wall here, but you could say I could go close like this, and it looks great. If I make it 6 foot tall, it's going to be on the wall way over there. So you can say the size ratio of I'm looking at it is basically the same. If I put it on Instagram, you're going to look at a screen like this. And just in case you wonder, a screen like this is 3 megapixels. So you don't need 60 or 100 megapixels to make a photograph look good on an iPhone screen. And you go Instagram, it's going to be even less megapixels for a photograph. So you can test the enlargement and see how do you like the details. That means you look at sharp edges like hair and so on. And if they have like a digital line around it to make it look sharp, that's not the one I would do. I would do one that just makes it larger and doesn't really try to mess with the photo. Don't try to improve it. And then you basically just click OK, and let's just try it here. And you'll see here you actually get some beautiful details in the photograph. And here is the full size again. Now I'm looking at on this screen, I'm looking at a size of 8.9%. And then I can go full screen here, and then I can look at the details of the photo and see how does this look. I can also make a little crop and make a test print before I make a 180 centimeter tall print. I can make a little sheet and see how does this look. And there we go. So this is basically the simplicity of it. You don't need a lot of megapixels on the camera, and you can say a lot. Even when you have a 60, 100, 150 megapixel sensor, you will see that you take photographs that actually don't have the details because it's not really sharp, it's not really needed. And I would say it like, I mean, maybe 95 or 98% of the photographs I take, it doesn't really matter if it's 18 megapixel or 60 megapixel. And that's one of the things that I found out when we got 60 megapixel sensors and also 100 megapixel in Hasselblad is you don't really need that. But in some rare cases, it's nice that you can crop in and you actually have a lot of definition. Because even if you don't have that, then you can open in Photoshop and you can make it bigger. So enlarging photographs can be extremely simple. It's almost, you can just set it to automatic and you look at it. My standard for when something is high quality or if it's good is if it looks good, it is good. I mean, photographs are made to be looked at with the eyes. It's not an exam, it's not a test. Nobody's going to go close to your photograph and examine the details. It's like you make an enlargement and it should look like the original photo, which probably means that it looks relaxed and it's not over sharpened, it's not pixelated or something, it's just a bigger edition of what you already did. There's a few tricks apart from the 3 different settings. You could say it's not a bad idea to make a photograph into 16-bit before you start scaling it. A lot of the photographs you have in JPEG and so on will be 8-bit, because 8-bit is kind of the international language of computer screens and so on. 16-bit is the language of print, and it just means you have a bigger color palette and you have everything is super duper. And if you also make sure you have Adobe 1998 color space, then you cannot do it better. And from there, you can make it larger. Some museums, some printers and so on do the thing that they enlarge a photograph not straight from 18 megapixels to 300 megapixels, but they take gradually 10-20% at a time, and sometimes they apply a little bit of sharpness, so they do something, and then they take the next step and the next step. And you could say the only reason that that could be a great idea, I mean, you could say if you enlarge like a photograph of Mona Lisa or some famous painting, clearly you should spend some time making sure that it actually looks right, what you're doing. But else you could say my standard, if it looks good, it is good. That clearly works, at least for me, and also for the gallery exhibitions and so on I've had. But that's one thing you can do step by step. There's also a tool in Camera Raw that you can go in and right click on the image and you can do a super scale, super duper scale, whatever they call it. And that's kind of also a little bit technology where when you enlarge it. And you can say the whole point in when you enlarge is you don't want to have a computer or Photoshop or anybody or anything to fill in empty gaps. You basically just want to go straight, this is my photograph, make it bigger and don't mess with it. So that you could say is the test of it. One way to do it is if you add, you could say if you add text or lines to a photograph, then you flatten it and you make it bigger. Then you can actually see very clearly on that text what is happening to the photograph. Much clearer than you, of course, if you have a hair, a sharp line or some details, you can look at those. But text is very easy to see if somebody messes with your text, or it looks bad, or it looks blurred, or it looks over sharp and so on. So that's one way to do it. But else, the simplicity of it is just go in and you increase the size and you're fine. And when you print anything, it has to be 300 lines per inch as definition, and then whatever size you're doing. One small detail, if you have a printer at home, just because we're talking about prints, what you should do is to have the optimum quality. You should never let Lightroom or Capture One or Photoshop or anything scale the photograph when you print it. When you make prints, you basically make an original either JPEG or TIFF file in the exact size. So when you print it, you print 100%. There's no scaling involved, because every time you have a scaling, you leave it to a software to figure out how to deal with this. And you can say what I do is I have all kinds of prints here. I like small prints, so I have a lot of small prints. And these are all scaled to this size. That's a mess here. They're all scaled to the size that they have here. And then I have a final print ready file for bigger print, all the way up to 6 feet tall. Once you're in it and you have a photograph, you say this is a photograph that I want to make print ready or gallery ready. You make this size, this size, this size. Well, usually you start from the big one and make smaller, smaller, smaller. and now you have the files ready. And when you do it like that, it's a little bit of industrial production. It's much easier than preparing a print each time. So for example, I have, you could say, all my master prints are ready to print. I have an archive of files ready to just throw into a printer program, and the printer spits them out. Nobody have to think or do anything particular with it. It's ready to just basically copy, print. That was all I had to say today about printing. I hope it was helpful, and there is also an article on my website about it, and it's something I think I've written about several places, but below the video there's a link to the article that refers to, you could say, the current technology in how to make big prints. Remember, till you see you next time, to always wear a camera, and remember the 3 links below the video. One more thing now that I have you. I have my book, a little book on photography that I have reissued because I rewrote it. I added 50% more content and pages. Now it's 308 pages. It's a 10 years anniversary edition. It was, it has been very popular for the last 10 years. People have felt that they got really inspired from it. And I guess I'm the last one that should tell you about it, but that's what people say, and I really really like to write the book, and I also, and you can say that's why I decided I'm going to sit down and write some more of this. I'm actually doing one more book later in the same style, but we'll get there later. But this book is ready, and you can click on a link below the video and you can get 75% discount on a little book on photography, 10th anniversary expanded edition, as I call it.